Okay, we'd like to call the meeting to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231. Adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Board of Adjustment of the Township of Franklin has been provided. Please call the roll.
Mr. Betterbid? Mrs. Grauman?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Rich? Mr. Shepherd? Mr. Caldwell? Mr. Rosenthal?
Here.
Mr. Reese?
Here.
Mr. O'Connell?
Here.
Chairman Thomas?
Here, minutes of the regular meeting, September 6th. Do we have a motion
I move the minutes for September 6th.
and a second?
I second.
Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes. Effective, in the resolution section, effective sign work, ZBA 12-00009. Do we have a motion?
Move the effective sign works resolution.
And a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes. Stagehouse Incorporated, ZBA 12-00018. We need a motion
I move that we accept.
and a second.
I'll second.
Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes. And then 785 New Brunswick Road, ZBA 11-00012. And we need a motion.
I move the 785 New Brunswick Road.
And a second.
Gary?
Second.
Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes. Under the discussion section, vouchers, October retainer, 865, legal matters, 612, 912, 345. All in favor of paying?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Otherwise, it's a hobby, right? We don't want to.
The loan hearing for the evening, Somerset Christian College, docket ZBA 12-00012. Applicant requesting to use 7,800 square feet of the office building for classrooms and faculty space, 600 Apgar Road, Somerset, Block 517.1, Lot 3.16, in the M1 zone.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Lanford appearing on behalf of the applicant. What I'm going to do...
Pete, is that mic picking up?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I was just trying to get organized. I'm going to try to make this very brief, and I've got 4 exhibits that will, I think, make this meeting go fairly quickly. So I'm going to hand those out, and then I will go through them.
I think it's going to change. Exposing has it in so many sheets. But that will be.
I want us to share the minutes.
No, I've got them.
I wouldn't have any worries about that.
I have this one. Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
Jesus, Pete, it's taking a long time to hand out these,
There's 3 or 4 exhibits?
There should be 4, I give you 3.
Good.
The sign.
Okay, so I'll mark the sign A1,
Now, mark this A1,
the minutes
minutes
from,
A1, A2, the sign will be 4.
A2 is the instructional site, student population. A4 is the sign, A3 is the parking lot analysis, right?
Yep.
Okay. 2, 3, 4, 2, 1. Okay.
Did you want a copy of this?
yes, please. Thank you. Let's stick it in the file.
Oh, here, give me 2 these.
You can keep it. I won't charge extra.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for your patience, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Peter Lanford appearing on behalf of the applicant. What I've tried to do to make this fairly simple and straightforward, on June 21st, 2012, we appeared before this board on behalf of Somerset Christian College for a use variance and waiver of site plan to use certain space within a building located on 270 Davidson Avenue for classrooms for Somerset Christian College. Mr. Schroeder testified on behalf of the college, and Mr. O'Brien, our planner, testified in support of the variance and waiver of site plan, and the board granted the approval. However, after the hearings, there were some snafus with the lease. The lease was never put into place, and therefore, the variance that we obtained, which was particular to 270 Davidson Avenue, is no good, because we are not there. Having lost the opportunity to rent that space, we found space at 600 Apgar, which is in the M1 zone. The application is exactly the same. We are going to have the same number of classrooms, the same number of students, the same number of faculty members. Nothing has changed since we were here in June other than the address.
And the size of the property in question, right?
Well, the original site was strictly an office building. Are you talking about the space that we're renting, or?
As I look at the minutes, your original space was 9,155 square
Right.
feet, and what you're looking at now is 7,800 square.
Yeah, it's smaller. I mean, essentially, we have the same number of classrooms, the same number of offices and everything else. We haven't changed. If you look at the floor plans, they're basically the same, except the rooms are smaller. But the operation is 100% the same. The only question then becomes, and again, I have Mr. Schroeder here. We can go over the testimony, but I provided you with the minutes concerning what was testified to at the last hearing, which was is Exhibit A1. I have also, for the record, provided to you Exhibit A2, which again is consistent with the previous hearing, but I think we needed to get into the record that the greatest number of students that we would have on any daylight session, which is the issue for parking, is 18 students. As was the question in the last hearing, it wasn't a big question, but one of the things that we had to satisfy Mr. Dominack with is the issue of the adequacy of parking. And Exhibit A3, if I can find it, what we did to deal with that issue is, first of all, the site has 192 parking spaces. Unlike the previous site, which was strictly an office building, this building is a mixed-use office and warehouse. The warehouse is currently occupied by Village Office Supply. They leased the significant portion of the building. The other tenant in the building currently is the radio station from Zarapath. They are a current tenant. The only vacant space in the building is the space that we are going to be leasing. So if you look at the parking calculations that we did, there are 192 existing parking spaces on the site, and basically, over the last, we did count the last 3 days at various times to make sure that they were sort of realistic times. We've had 96 to 82 parking spaces being occupied, which means there's about 96 parking spaces available during the daylight hours. And as we testified to at the last hearing, if every student came every single day to class, which we know with college students isn't always the case, and if every professor and every administrative personnel was on site, the number of parking spaces we would need would be 28, and there's 96 available. And there are no other potential users within the site. I have Dr. Schroeder here, and he can obviously go over all of this with you, but I think since we've presented this a couple months ago and it's fairly fresh in your mind, and you can rely on the minutes as far as operations. Now, the only other variance that we have is, and that's Exhibit A4, is we wanted to, over the one door, which is at our entrance, to put our sign, which is going to be an internally lit sign that says Somerset Christian College, and the sign is 4 feet by 8 feet, which is 32 square feet. Your ordinance requires, I believe it is 30 feet, so we are asking for a variance for the attached sign.
Will the sign be lit, Peter?
It will be internally lit. It will be lit in the evening when classes are in session, yes. Other than that, again, I would be happy to call Mr. Schroeder up here to answer any questions. Obviously, having been through this myself and having talked to them on numerous occasions, I can answer other questions that the board may have.
I unfortunately did not get a chance to go to the site, but as I take a look at this, where would this sign be on?
The site plan?
Well, I don't have a site plan.
I do.
but-
Let me just
Good.
find it. It's on the side of the building, but I will, as soon as I can.
I'm just wondering, looking at this, it appears that the sign wouldn't even be visible from Apgar Drive.
Slightly, if at all,
I mean, it would be just really for purposes of finding it on the site.
for their entrance, yes. And I said I had a site plan.
Well, you can show me on this picture.
Here is the building, and there's a door right back here, so it's almost to the rear of the building.
Okay, so you really couldn't see it.
It would be hardly visible from the
Okay,
car.
thank you. So its only purpose is to let people know at night where the,
Yeah, and quite frankly, I think, it's all pretty aesthetically pleasing rather than just a bland canopy over a door.
Okay.
My opinion.
Is this the building?
yeah, that's what it would, I mean,
That's imposed on the
yeah.
picture of the building.
And I just have two other quick requests. One of the staff reports from engineering wants us, when the plan was originally approved, there were bank parking spaces. Those bank parking spaces were built by the landlord. They're all in place. We are not doing anything to the site. The engineering department wants us to provide an as-built plan for the entire site. Since we are a tenant and not the owner, I would request that the board waive that requirement since we're not doing anything. I would be glad to ask the owner if he has an as-built plan, and if the owner has an as-built plan, we'll be glad to give it to you. But to require somebody to do a full survey for that, I don't think would make any sense. The last thing, as I requested last time we were here, would be that the board, if the board were inclined to approve the application, authorize Mr. Dominic to tell the building department to start their review, because we'd like to try to get in there for our January semester. I have nothing further.
Any board questions?
Just when I drove around the parking lot, there was a recycling, high-tech recycling or computer recycling or something? There were trucks.
No, unless you're at the wrong side. This was Village Office Supplies.
Yeah, Village Office Supplies is one.
I don't know what that other stuff was doing there, but basically they and the radio station are the only tenants. So if there were other vehicles there, you'd have to ask the landlord or somebody else to find out what they were doing there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, possibly that truck was just picking up recycled computer stuff from the office supply place.
It could have been, yeah. There were 3 trucks. They're just box trucks.
Anything else from the board?
Peter, would you have a copy of the old resolution?
I do. I don't know if I have it with me.
No, I figured you'd have it, but no, I was asking just because I was curious to see what conditions we put on there, to see if any of them are applicable.
I can represent that whatever conditions we agreed to the last time, we'll agree to again, and I'll get you a copy of the resolution.
I know I have it in my office, I wrote it, but I just didn't have it now, so I just didn't know, did I condition student enrollment or anything like that?
Actually, there was discussion of that. My recollection of the discussion was that the board decided not to put any condition because the conditions are limited by the numbers of rooms that we have in available space. But we'll take a look at that, and for the record, if there were any other conditions that we did agree to, we will agree to them as to this site.
Okay.
If they're applicable to this site.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
If there are no other questions and no one from the public, I would propose.
Let me just run through. Is there anybody out here who would like to ask a question or make a statement? Okay, then we are closed. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would propose that we vote on this.
You move to approve the application.
You're right.
Second.
Any further discussion? All the board.
Mrs. Grauman?
Yes.
Mr. McCracken?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Mr. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes, good luck with it this time. I think you got a better location. You're actually closer to Zarapath in your face.
Sometimes things work out for the best. Thank
Okay.
you.
If there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Second.
We are meeting in 2 weeks. There is a meeting in 2 weeks.
Anything else?
Okay.